Welcome back to Manzoor's EVS tutorial. Today our topic is ecosystem. First, this term ecosystem, it was given by A.J. Tennyson. अगर हम देखेंगे ये इकोसिस्टम जो है ये एक ऐसा यूनिट है जहाँ पे डिफरेंट लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो है डिफरेंट स्पीशीज लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स की जो है वो इंटरेक्ट करती है एक दूसरे के साथ और अपने फिजिकल एनवायरनमेंट के साथ। सो यहाँ पे क्या होता है, ये जो इकोसिस्टम है ये एक यूनिट है, फिजिकल यूनिट है जहाँ पे डिफरेंट स्पीशीज ऑफ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो है वो इंटरेक्ट करती है एक दूसरे के साथ और अपने फिजिकल एनवायरनमेंट के साथ। So the living organisms, they are interacting with other living beings and they are also interacting with their physical environment. So यहाँ पे interactions होती है, interactions किनके साथ? living beings or living organisms, they interact with each other and they also interact with their physical environment means they also interact with their physical environment like air, water, soil, etc. So we can say ecosystem is a physical unit where living organisms, they interact with each other and they also interact with their physical environment. There are present species of different living organisms. So first we will try to understand what the species means. Species, it is a group of living organisms which are similar in appearance, behavior, chemistry and genetic makeup. So species is a group of living organisms which are similar in appearance, behavior, chemistry and their genetic makeup. They are similar in all those things. For example, we human beings, we are one species. For example, cattle, they are one species. Buffalo, they are one species. This sheep, they are one species. Because they are similar, their genetic makeup is similar, their behavior is similar. So we can say species, a group of organisms which are similar in appearance, their behavior is similar, their chemistry is similar, and their genetic, most importantly, their genetic makeup is also similar. If we talk of these sexually reproducing organisms, we can say species is a group of organisms which interbreed to produce fertile offsprings. So in case of sexually reproducing organisms, we can say species is a group of organisms which interbreed to produce fertile offsprings. So species. Now in an ecosystem there are present many species at one time. We will be finding there different types of species present in same area. The different types of species present in same area is called community or biological community. So community, we can see community is a group of organisms of different species occupying a particular area. So community is group of organisms of different species. So it is here, it is different species. We will always see that in ecosystem different species are present, or we can say there is community or biological community is present out there. There are different species of plants, there are different species of animals, there are different species of microorganisms, and they all are performing different functions. They are occupying different trophic levels in a food chain. They are helping in energy transfer and nutrient flow, nutrient cycling in an ecosystem. Now, one more important thing, sometimes we are having same species, group of organisms of same species, that we call population. Population. So population is group of organisms of same species. So population is group of organisms of same species occupying some particular area. Same species. For example, we would say human population, cattle population, sheep population. So population is group of organisms of same species. In ecosystem, there is always community present. So there are different species present, and these different species, they are interacting with each other and with their physical environment as well. So in nutshell, we can say ecosystem is a physical unit where biological community or community is present, and this community, they are interacting with one another, and they are also interacting with their physical environment. These ecosystems, there are two important characteristics of ecosystems. First is these ecosystems, they are dynamic. Dynamic. These ecosystems, they do not remain the same over course of time. They change over the course of time. So these ecosystems, they are, if we are putting some more pressure on ecosystems, their composition, the composition of plants and the composition of living organisms over there, it would also change. So they are dynamic. So one important characteristic of ecosystems is ecosystems are dynamic. One more important characteristic of ecosystems is, I'm talking of natural ecosystems, they are self-sustaining. Self-sustaining. These ecosystems, they sustain on their own. They do not require the help of human beings. They are able to run on its own. They just need the source of energy which is provided by the sun sun, and rest they are able to maintain this flow on its own. So these ecosystems, they are self-sustaining. So we can say ecosystems, they are dynamic. They keep on changing. If we put some pressure on the ecosystems, their composition would change. The composition of fauna and flora in the ecosystems would change. In case of fragile ecosystems, some ecosystems, they are very fragile. If we put even small amount of pressure, the composition of the species would change permanently. So always, we are always saying, if some ecosystem is fragile, we must not put pressure on such ecosystems in any anthropogenic pressure. If we do any human activity over there, there are chances that the composition and of fauna and flora would change in these ecosystems. And these ecosystems are self-sustaining. They just need solar energy which they are getting from the sun, and rest they are able to maintain, they are able to run on its own. Now these ecosystems, they are mostly broadly of two types: terrestrial and natural and artificial. Natural ecosystems, uh, they are managed by nature. They do not need any interference from the human beings. These artificial ecosystems, they are managed by human beings. The composition or the vegetation in these in these artificial ecosystems, it is managed or maintained by human beings. Now these natural ecosystems, broadly they are of two types: terrestrial ecosystems and aquatic ecosystems. Terrestrial ecosystems are land ecosystems. The examples of terrestrial ecosystems would be forest ecosystem, the grassland ecosystem, desert ecosystem, etc. Aquatic ecosystems. The aquatic ecosystems, the examples of Aquatic ecosystems would be freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystems where the concentration of the salt is very low. In marine or saltwater ecosystems, the concentration of salt is more. Freshwater and marine. Freshwater and marine. Marine ecosystem. In freshwater ecosystems, they are further off two types: lentic ecosystems and lotic ecosystems. Lentic ecosystems are those freshwater ecosystems where the water is standing, or where the water is stationary. For example, in case of ponds, lakes, lotic ecosystems, these are those freshwater ecosystems where the water is running. For example, these springs, rivers, streams, etc. These marine ecosystems, these are those ecosystems where the concentration of salt is more. For example, these can be ocean, seas, oceans, estuaries. Now these artificial ecosystems or man-made ecosystems, these are rice fields, our orchards, or fruit orchards, apple orchards. They are also these artificial ecosystem, maize fields, etc. These artificial ecosystem because they are maintained or managed by man. Now this ecosystem, it consists of two important components: biotic component and abiotic component. Biotic component, first we will take up abiotic component. Abiotic component and biotic component. Biotic and abiotic component. Abiotic component consists of these inorganic substances. Inorganic substances. Like inorganic substances like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. They are present in the soil, and these substances constitute the inorganic. They constitute the inorganic substances, and the amount of these substances like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. present in an ecosystem at some particular time is called standing state. Standing state. So standing state is amount of these inorganic substances like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur present in an ecosystem. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur. So they would tell us standing state of an ecosystem. Second is organic substances. Organic substances. Besides these organic substances, inorganic substances, there are present some organic substances as well, like carbohydrates, fats, lipids, etc. in ecosystem, and they constitute the organic substances. Third is these adaptive factors. Edaphic factors, they constitute the soil and different soil, the composition of the soil, the fertility of the soil. Fourth is climatic factors. Climatic factors, they constitute the climatic conditions of an area. For example, precipitation, temperature, winds, humidity, etc. And biotic components, there are two types: autotrophic component and heterotrophic component. Autotrophic component and heterotrophic component. This autotrophic component, it consists of producers only. Producers only. This autotrophic component consists of producers like green plants, photosynthetic bacteria, chemosynthetic bacteria. These green plants, photosynthetic bacteria, chemosynthetic bacteria, they constitute the autotrophic component of an ecosystem, and these components, these producers, they produce the organic matter. Second is heterotrophic component. Heterotrophic component, it consists of consumers. Heterotrophic component consists of consumers only. These consumers, they are not able to produce the organic matter, so they eat up these producers to get the organic component. So they receive their energy or organic matter by consuming these producers. These consumers, they are of two types: macro consumers and micro consumers. Macro consumers are those consumers which take in large amount of food, which take large particles of food into their body or into their digestive tract. They are also called phagotrophs. These macro consumers are like primary. These macro consumers now, they can be herbivores, herbivores are those consumers which feed on plant or plant products like cow, sheep, goat, mouse, etc. They are also called primary consumers. Now carnivores. Carnivores, they are also called the meat eaters. They are secondary consumers. They can be tiger, lion, can be cat, can be with this hawk, wolf. So these are carnivores, these are meat eaters. Among some of these carnivores, some of these carnivores are top carnivores like tiger, lion, hawk. They can even eat smaller, these secondary consumers. So in these carnivores, there are some are secondary consumers and some are tertiary consumers. So in carnivores, flesh eaters, some are secondary consumers, some are tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers can feed on herbivores. They can feed on these secondary consumers as well. And omnivores. Omnivores. Omnivores are those consumers which feed on both plants or their products as well as animals. So they feed on both plants and animals. For example, this man, cockroach, pig, etc. Now some consumers, they are scavengers. Scavengers. Scavengers are those consumers which feed on dead animals or dead animals. For example, vulture, hyena. These scavengers, they are very important in cleaning up the environment. Now, these macro consumers, they are also called decomposers. Macro consumers, they are also called decomposers. They are they are saprotrophs. These macro consumers, they are phagotrophs or phagotrophs. These micro consumers or decomposers, they are saprotrophs. They are microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes. They digest the food particles outside their body and take some of these components, then take the digested food materials into their body and also release nutrients into the soil. So they are very essential because they make these inorganic substances which were immobilized into the bodies of these organisms. They make these immobilized substances again available for the producers. So they are making inorganic substances like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, some extra available for the producers, or we can say they are making plant nutrients available for the producers. Well, thank you.